Let's go to our Man of the Year. MSNBC Hardball's Chris Matthews, also the NBC Chris Matthews Show, is show you got to watch every Sunday.
You have to. It's like it's got to be on your schedule.
He's got the greatest book ever. Chris, we're talking about transitions.
Right.
What does Obama need to do to set the right tone in this transition, other than
first of all, I think
jobs to people that are going to take them?
Richard Stengel, isn't Nixon the record holder with 55 covers on time?
Yes.
I thought he had 55.
Yeah, Richard Nixon is the record holder, the most covers of any single human being on time.
Chris would know that.
And here's Newsweek today, keeping up. There's Newsweek. Just got it at home today.
God, you're a hater, Chris Matthews. You're a hater.
Now, Chris, where is that picture taken from? That's what I want to know. I think it's about 2 years old.
Yeah,
I think you guys know.
Here we go.
He came out fighting.
All right, so Chris Matthews, we don't believe Rahm Emanuel. Lawrence O'Donnell and I, in fact, are hoping he's lying. Because if
spinning, Joe, not lying.
Because if he doesn't know whether he wants to be Obama's chief of staff, it shows a less than disciplined transition operation. What's your take?
Well, I think it will be disciplined. I think it's less than it may be up to the standard of LBJ. Lyndon Johnson made a rule that if you leaked your name or it got leaked even passively, you didn't get the job. He wanted to control all the announcements, and I think Barack does too. So there's nothing that Rahm could say that would help him except kind of this vague kind of confusion, which is probably helpful to him, because Barack wants to make that announcement.
Well, he's sitting there in front of cameras trying to decide whether he wants to be chief of staff or not. Don't you think this would have already been decided months ago by he and his family?
Well, I have no idea. I don't question motive, Joe. It's very hard to question motive.
You're a good man, but you do.
It's true. It's the worst thing you can do in journalism is try to figure out motive. There's no way to determine it.
But Chris, you play hardball, and so let's play hardball here. You've got a guy that just got elected president of the United States. He offers a job up, but Lyndon Johnson, you just said, Lyndon Johnson, very disciplined. He wanted to make the announcements. You ask people quietly behind the scenes, do you want to work as chief of staff?
Yeah, well, you know what? I want to do everything I can to make this thing work, this new presidency work. And I think that
is
the
that
successful
your job?
model...
You just talked about
being a journalist.
So your job as a journalist is to make this presidency work.
To make this work successfully, because this country needs a successful presidency more than anything right now. And it needs to set the priorities straight. And I think a successful presidency keeps the focus like Reagan did and shows the kind of discipline that LBJ did and keep in control. And the crackle that Kennedy had. I think we're going to see the announcement today. I think it's going to be Rahm Emanuel. I think they're just probably holding off so the president can make the announcement. That's my hunch.
Okay. Well, I'm a little confused about what the job is here, because of course, we all want things to work, but I'm not sure it's our job. Rick Stengel, in terms of when someone
how can you not root for the success of a new president?
You know what? I just think it's going to be important to ask questions.
As Americans, Chris Matthews, we're all rooting for the success of Barack Obama.
I know what
America's at a perilous time. But you just talked about being a journalist, and your job as a journalist is not to question motives. And then 2 seconds later, you said your job was to make this presidency a success.
I think so. I think we need a successful presidency. And at the beginning, I think both sides, especially John McCain, who seems to be trying to help, I think we need a bipartisan attempt, and I think that's what we're going to get. I think that Barack Obama wants to be bipartisan. I think he wants to be a diverse administration. He wants to be new faces in a new attempt, not the old retreads. I think it's going to be a very effective effort, but I don't think, why would anybody not wish him well? I don't understand.
We all wish him well. We just don't think it's our job to make this work any more than it was a journalist's job to make the Iraq War have a successful launch. Rick, as we move forward, how tough will we be? Because obviously this is a era of good feeling right now over the past 24, 48 hours. But do journalists make the same mistakes that we made in 2002 and not ask the tough questions?
Well, you have to. I mean, Walter Cronkite once famously said that journalists are skeptical so the public doesn't become cynical. as Americans, we want, of course, Barack Obama to succeed, and we want the country to thrive. As journalists, we have to hold his feet to the fire. I mean, that is our responsibility. Frankly, I think that's our constitutional responsibility. That's why the press is protected in the Constitution.
You know, I think there's a big difference. I think there's a big difference, Richard, between trying to argue over policy, which we're going to definitely have to do, and question it and be skeptical about the right policy in terms of health care, in terms of getting the fiscal house in order. All that is appropriate debate, Joe, and you and I agree on this. We're just dithering here. But whether there's an effective rollout of cabinet people, whether there's an effective execution, I think that's all in our interest, that there be an effective one. Did this administration take office with some crackle, with some discipline, without having a lot of distractions? I think that's in the national interest. I think that's all of us.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. What I would argue, though, this morning, if we're discussing whether Rahm Emanuel should have gone on television or not, I mean, that's the same sort of distractions we got distracted by during the election, in the sense that it's not a big issue. I mean, Barack Obama has the worst inbox of any president since FDR. In fact, we have a great story about the 5 big things he needs to do. And discussing, whether Rahm Emanuel should have gone on television or not seems like, well, that's pretty small bore.
Yeah, of course, and we need to be consistent here, because during the past 8 years of the Bush administration, nobody ever looked at political maneuverings inside the White House and second-guessed those, and nobody ever questioned motives of George Bush or Dick Cheney or Donald Rumsfeld or wait.
Look, there's
that's all we did over the past 8 years.
There's a strange shape to the Rahm story at the moment. That's all. They have leaked effectively that he's been offered the job. They have also leaked that he has not accepted it. They could have leaked that he's accepted it.